I want to help you all. This is for people who get down on themselves, worrying about what other people think of them. I want to help you. A social idiot snubbed me today, but that didn't bother me. What bothered me is that they said, sorry if it's hard to hear. See, too many of y'all think that if someone doesn't like you, it must be your fault. Maybe you think you're unattractive, or too poor, or not educated, some sort of negative self-image. So here's the cure. Listen closely to what I'm about to tell you. I'm going to draw an analogy, because a lot of people don't like good things. Healthy food is good. It's good to eat a salad every day, but people reject salad. No one will say diet and exercise is bad, but say healthy lifestyle was a person named Bob, and Bob, healthy lifestyle, Bob walked up to people and be like, hey, I'm interested in linking up with you. A lot of those people would think about what a healthy lifestyle Bob implied for them, and they would turn Bob down. Does that mean health is bad? No. It means that the dumb broad that rejected him is going to end up marrying breast cancer instead. See, women more so than men judge a guy based on how he makes her feel. So there's such a thing as being too good. If you're too good, her self-image will worsen whenever she is around you. You'll make her feel bad about herself just by being you. Some girls go after bad men because by being around them, they always feel better about themselves. It's an ego boost. Anybody that you hear has a fix-it compliment, so somebody wants to fix somebody else. No, that's because they feel better being around them. Okay. Now, women, if some guy disses you, the same thing applies. Are you going to think bad about yourself because some blind moron can't recognize who you are? A lot of people reject good music. No one is going to say Beethoven was a crappy pianist. Pavarotti is an excellent singer. It doesn't mean everybody's going to listen to it. If someone is more attracted to the singer's voice of their local garage band than they are to the voice of Mariah Carey, it says more about their poor taste than it does about how good Mariah Carey's singing is. Again, can you imagine someone walking up to Mariah Carey saying, I don't like your voice, okay, fine, but then adding, this is to Mariah Carey, I don't like your voice, but sorry if that's hard for you to hear. It ain't just the fact they got bad taste at that point, it's that their ego is so huge that they would say, sorry if that's hard to hear. So again, never get down on yourself because of someone with poor taste. Finally, I'm going to address the third category. The people who really should be ashamed of themselves. You see, there are people who always want what they can't have. Why? Because they have a monstrous ego, and in truth, they don't like anyone but their own imagination. Anyone they are interested in, they idealize. That's what I mean by their own imagination. They don't like the person in reality, but they fall in love with their imagination of that person. They see superficial qualities, and then they use their imagination to invent all sorts of other hidden qualities that aren't really there. So then if someone is aloof towards them, that's the type of person they want because their ego is so huge that they cannot comprehend someone not being interested in them. So since there's a lot of egotistical people out there, it follows there's a lot of articles advising reverse psychology explaining how to seduce such people. But you can't really because they're in love with their own imagination. Once they picture a certain thing, that's what you are. So you people, the ones I just described, here's what's going to happen to you. Most likely. One, you're going to end up with an STD because like any habit, the need for the ego must be reaffirmed more and more so that you're not sleeping with people for lust but for attention. Two, you're not going to be a player. Not everybody does this by sleeping around. You'll find one person and be loyal to them perhaps, but they're going to treat you like waste. Why? Because when your ego controls your imagination and you idealize somebody, it's your imagination that you've fallen in love with. And when you choose whoever it is you do, it's not going to be based on how well they can sustain a relationship in reality. It's not going to be how committed they will be or how well they can lead a family and raise kids. It's going to be based on some superficial chimera that fades over time with the fantasy that every day together will only get better. Ask yourself this the next time you become infatuated with someone. If they get into a car accident and their face becomes disfigured and they can no longer walk, would I be willing to nurse them for the rest of my life? And vice versa. Would this person that I idealize is so great, if I had an injury ruining my face and became partially paralyzed, what would they do? Because guess what? It could happen tomorrow. And remember, if someone hates on you because of your looks, they're the one that's ugly. Someone says, for example, you're too short. There's nothing you can do to change your height. It's not your fault. It's not a defect. But the more something you cannot change is a determining factor for them, the more shallow and superficial that person is. And being shallow and stupid is something that they can change. So that is the defect. In them, not in you. Their shallow appraisal of you is nothing but a reflection of the ugliness of their soul. Tell me, which is worse? And if you have trouble seeing it, look for something physically unattractive about them. I guarantee they got it. You just might not be focusing on it. Start looking, it's there. Picture your idealized person. If you're a guy, the girl you're infatuated by. If you're a girl, the guy you're infatuated. Now, their appearance, look for something unattractive. It is there. It exists. I promise you. And vice versa. Mother Teresa had wrinkles, but she looked beautiful to me because of her soul. If someone's too shallow to see that, they are much more ugly than they make you out to be. I promise you that. So here's what you do. You like someone, you let them know, because life is too short to be wasting time wondering. If it ain't mutual, it's just a matter of taste, let it go. But if revealing your interest enables their ego and they put you down with something stupid, then make sure that you don't let them walk away with a big head, because it's not good for them to have a big head. But you gotta watch, because since they got an ego, they're going to be assuming that whatever you did was out of a wounded ego. So everyone has their own words, but I'd say something like, what I have to offer is of objective value. The fact that you're so quick to assume otherwise says more about your rashness of perception than it does about my actual value. Likewise, I was hasty in assuming that you would be a more patient judge. But it's better to falsely assume good of people than to falsely assume bad of people. So there you all have it. If that was a help to even one person, it was worth the time and effort to make this. So, see y'all.